It was a great move for us. We were pretty confident Stukes would still be there, but we had a group of players that we really liked at that spot too. So if for some reason he had gone, you only got to survive really 2 picks at that point to move up that many spots and still get your guy. Definitely worth it. Excited about it.
It's for either you or Starks. I was wondering, you guys mentioned the versatility that Stokes brings to the secondary, but outside of that, what other parts of his game do you guys like and fits the defensive scheme you're trying to run?
Yeah, Trayden's a very intelligent football player. He also is a really good communicator on the field. So, this is a player. He was a late bloomer, right? He was a walk-on, became a 3-time captain. He's played all those positions we talked about. So he's another player that's going to come in immediately and compete to play, bring some leadership, bring some communication ability. As good of a player as he is, as talented he is, he's that good or better of a person. Like, we're bringing a lot to that room, not just in ability, but in character, leadership, and work ethic. We're really excited about him.
When you look at Zuhn, I know it's not the Big Ten, but SEC Offensive Lineman
I like
of the
that,
Year.
Rondo. Well done.
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
I like that, Johnny. But, Offensive Lineman of the Year in the SEC. But you look at him in the third and fourth quarters. He's 20 yards down the field on passing plays, 25, 30 yards on rushing plays. His stamina is freakish. Did you notice that in your evaluation?
Yeah, and Zuhn's a player, he's been a good player there for a couple of years. So he's a guy that has kind of been on the radar for a couple of years and kind of added some more versatility to his game by not just playing tackle now, but showing the versatility to go to center in game, like Spy was saying. So he's always shown that. He's always played with that temperament. And then now with that added versatility to his game, it just increased his value as a player. But you watch him, all he does is block people, which is what you want those guys to do,
You just mentioned Stukes' leadership. Zuhn was also a team captain. Clint brought up earlier today that Fernando's leadership is the quality that sticks out the most with him. How much does kind of character go into the fact of picking a guy, and how do you weigh character versus traits when you're evaluating prospects?
It's a magic equation that there's no perfect science to, but since the day I got here and really Starkey too, we've just tried to load this roster up with guys that love it, that have leadership traits, that are great teammates, that will do the right thing, that will do the extra thing. And I think we all really felt like the 4 guys that we have so far in the 2026 draft, they fill those buckets up pretty well.
Stukes, what was it that jumped off the tape to you just about his skill set as it translates to what safeties are asked to do in the league nowadays?
Yeah, I think with him he's got really good man-to-man coverage skills, which is hard to identify in those safeties sometimes. But with his versatility, with him lining up at the nickel spot, you have a chance to see him exhibit those. And he's got really good ball skills. He's also a good tackler. He's a physical player, so he kind of checks every box kind of for the skills that you're looking for at that spot. And you got a chance to see him kind of display all of them because of the versatility and the way he played.
How do you feel like Crosby's and Crawford's skill sets will complement each other?
Well, I know when Key was here, he's a big fan of Max, and he made it known that if we would take him, he would try to replicate Max as much as possible. I would encourage Key to be his own person too. Max is Max, as we all know. So they're just 2 rugged, tough players that really love the game of football. And probably similar with Max, he obviously wasn't at his ceiling when he got here as a 4th-round pick. And I'm not comparing, I said it last night, comparison's the thief of joy. But we're excited about just the rugged toughness and the passion with which Key attacks the game of football. And I think that will resonate in our D-line room and our defensive meeting room in general. And, I think when you find guys like that and they have a high ceiling that they haven't reached yet, they start to climb that ladder pretty quick.
I know you got to go up and have meetings after this, but there is a lot of very talented football players left on this board. How excited are you with how your board has flowed looking forward to tomorrow?
Yeah, we got a big night of meetings tonight to just kind of stack the board. It's early tomorrow. We're gonna be off and running with the 2nd pick, but we're just gonna keep trying to identify the really good football players that want to be Raiders and lay it on their line for their teammates. And, we got a lot of really good ones left too. We got 6 picks left tomorrow, and we're thrilled and excited about that challenge and that opportunity tomorrow.
When you look at your draft class so far, there's a theme kind of with Fernando and Kenyon kind of being under-recruited, and then obviously Stukes not even being recruited at all coming out of high school. Is that kind of an underdog theme that you kind of sense, and is that something that you gravitate towards, knowing that you're drafting players that kind of have this chip on their shoulder coming into the league?
I didn't necessarily identify them because they were under-recruited or not very much recruited at all, but just I love the chip. You know, the good ones I've been around, they find a chip, and if the chip is seemingly wearing off, they find a new one, and they really never forget kind of where they came from and maybe that they were disrespected or underappreciated at some point in their career. And, you know, I appreciate these guys for the way they attack and play the game of football.
Brian, for you, as you go into these meetings with Spy, and you guys are setting up the board for tomorrow, what is your input, what is your part in how you're advising John? Can you guys kind of take us into your role, please?
Yeah, I mean, there's a group of us that'll be in there together, and we've all kind of watched a lot of these players independently, and then we watched them together as a group. So, you know, John's great about encouraging everyone to, you know, speak up, and everyone's very confident to give their opinions on the players. And what it kind of does is it allows Spy to hear us kind of work through the differences maybe we saw in the player, and then he can kind of compare that to his vision of the player when he watched him, and it really allows us to come to a consensus to where we all kind of have an understanding for how that player, where his value ranks among the other players available, and the vision for them to fit with our roster. So I think it's just it's a big collaborative process. Now, specifically, you know, Brandon Jurgen, our college director, and I a lot of times are working closely with the college scouts who aren't here all the time. So a lot of times we kind of serve as the mouthpiece for the college scouts too when they're not available to be in those meetings.
Sounds like the Texas A&M staff really likes Trey Zuhn. There's a quote out there that said that he's one of the most pro-ready offensive linemen they've ever had. I'm just curious why you think they would say something like that about him.
Started 54 games in the SEC. All he did was block the guy in front of him. Didn't matter who it was, where it was. And obviously they played a lot of really good football this year too. And, you know, I think they would, I like that they say that. That's a good staff down there. It's a really good program. And that makes me happy that they would think that way.
What do you maybe foresee Key's role being in the defense? I mean, like, he's a little bit smaller guy, but he's been pretty good against the run in his career. I guess where do you maybe see him fitting in?
Well, he's not that small. He's 6'4", long, maybe a little leaner than some traditional DNs. But, you know, we're just going to get him here and know that he's going to work hard, and he's got a couple cool skill sets, which is he can rush the passer and he plays his tail off. And I like being around guys like that.
You guys good? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.